Good evening, ladies. SUI is performing extremely well on this bounce back of crypto. It's one of the best performers. It's outperforming even Solana. And in today's video, I want to give an update. I'm sure you know a lot about SUI, but I'll give you a quick overview on SUI. And I want to give an update of all the ecosystem coins and projects you could invest in SUI. And more importantly, what you can farm on SUI if you want more exposure to the SUI ecosystem. So a quick refresher on SUI. It's a super fast chain. It even has a lower finality time than Solana, and yeah, high throughput chain, quite similar to Solana, but somewhat better in some regards. Its programming language is easier potentially than Solana. It's the Move programming language. It was set up by the DM, like you remember Libra, the Facebook DM thing. It's the same guys who created that have created SUI and Aptos, and SUI is the winner out of those two so far. All the boomers love SUI, so if you talk to any boomers, like crypto boomers, they love SUI for some reason. So the likes of Raoul Pal love SUI, and from the charts, quick overview of the charts, and then we'll dive into the ecosystem. Here you can see the SUI chart versus US dollar, so you can see a big bounce back, and even versus Sol, it's outperforming on a longer term and a short term timescale. And it looks like potentially SUI could break out against Sol soon if it breaks this range. So SUI kind of reminds me of Solana a couple of years ago, let's say in 2023. Solana was getting a lot of transactions. It was starting to get a bit of a community. Well, it already had quite a strong community, but it started getting a lot more users. But people were like, oh, but it's not earning any fees. It's not making any revenue because the transactions are too cheap. So it's not really going to take off because the revenue and the fees are so low. So right now we can look at, this is DeFi Llama, all the top protocols by revenue. And you can see number 1, Tether, blah, 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 all the way down to number 12 is Solana now out of revenue. And then all the way down in number 92 is SUI. So SUI is 92 in revenue, Solana is number 12. So what actually happened here? So this is a kind of similar spot that Solana was in a couple of years ago. It was making no revenue because it didn't have that much users, it didn't have that much activity. But now that Solana is taking up a huge amount of the transactions and activity, Solana is now making like one of the highest revenues out of any chain. So in order for that to happen to SUI, obviously it needs a huge amount of users, and these users need to be willing to pay extra on fees and revenue to get their transactions through, which happens on Solana, which really helps Solana, the revenue for Solana grow massively and the TVL for Solana to grow massively. Is that going to happen with SUI? That is the big question. And if it does, SUI has some catching up to do, but that is yet to be seen. And if you remember in 2023, when I was banging the table about Solana, I was all about the Solana ecosystem. We got bonk early, we got whiff early, and we got all those massive airdrops early on Solana. Potentially the same thing could happen on SUI. I'm not guaranteeing it, but it's definitely something to watch out for. So that's kind of the thesis here. And the other thing about SUI is it's the new shiny coin that, people often like to invest in the new coin that's going to take off, like the new L1 trade of each cycle. Obviously there was Ethereum in the first cycle, the new L1, and then there was Solana Luna AVAX in 2021, then Solana this cycle, and now SUI potentially in this next pump. So it's the new shiny coin thing people might be interested in. Some other updates since my last SUI video. Obviously we bought some of the meme coins there, but we'll talk about that further on. But now SUI is available on Phantom, the Phantom wallet, that's Solana, the main Solana wallet. They've integrated SUI, which is great, and I've started using that. It's handy to have SUI in your Phantom wallet. They're also they're really going after the gaming narrative because they're a super fast chain. They really want to be like a gaming focused chain. So they've brought out their own little gaming console. So this is kind of an analogy to the Solana Saga phone that the Solana team brought out. They want to get into the hardware space, and they brought out their little gaming console. We've yet to see if it's really going to take off, but potentially it could. And the last update since my last video is that SUI has an ETF application. Obviously that will be extremely bullish if and when SUI does get its own ETF, which is probably likely, but it could take many months, if not even a couple of years, for that to come through. But it's probably going to happen with the new administration in DC. Oh, and as well, they've partnered with Pokemon. Well, this is just rumors, but the rumor is that they partnered with Pokemon Obviously, they're going after the whole gaming chain narrative, and being partnered with Pokemon would be absolutely huge. Okay, let's dive into the ecosystem plays, and then we're going to talk about farming, and farming is what I'm most interested in myself. So in my last video, I gave some memes that I liked on SUI. Most of them have like basically went down a lot since that video. The only one that did well, I think Lo-Fi, I talked about Lo-Fi, went 10x and then dumped massively, and now it's coming back. So Lo-Fi seems to be one with sticking power. So this is the Lo-Fi chart here, and this kind of meme is this Yeti thing. But yeah, it seems to have a bit of sticking power. It also has its own NFT collection on SUI. So if you want to trade the NFTs, I think it's on Tradeport.xyz. I'll link everything you need in the description if you want to get involved in the SUI ecosystem. So one newer meme that I saw today. Now remember, obviously meme coins are super risky, and you know, most of them will fail, but the odd time you'll get a 10x or a 100x which will make up for, you know, 5 or 10 that go to 0. So this new one is called Squirt, and the idea with that, it's like kind of going off the Pokemon theme, because they're partnered up with Pokemon and they kind of want to be this blue Pokemon chain. Sui means sea, I think, or ocean in Japanese, something like that. So this is the ocean Pokemon or something like that. So that's one you could look into getting an entry on, potentially. Squirtle, I think it's one of the Pokemons or something, so there you go. But yeah, I'm still holding my Lo-Fi. I bought a tiny bit of this, and yeah, I just want to keep my eye out for any memes that could pop off on SUI, because, you know, a lot of us did very well when the Solana meme coin explosion happened. I'm not guaranteeing that's going to happen on SUI, but it's something to pay attention to, in my opinion. The other big ecosystem plays on SUI, like NFTs, there's Claynosaurs. If you know Claynosaurs on Solana, they've also bridged over to SUI, so you can buy them on either chain, so that's nice. And yeah, that's the only NFTs I actually know on SUI. Right, so the ecosystem plays. The first one is called Walrus. Walrus is a decentralized storage platform, and this is kind of the, if you remember my video from like a couple of years ago, I was quite bullish on Shadow. Maybe potentially this is what Shadow should have been. So if you remember Genesis Go, a decentralized storage platform that has, you know, super, on a high throughput chain, so super fast transactions, super cheap, and you're able to pull the metadata very quickly when you need it. So that's essentially what Walrus does. As you can see, they partner with Pudgy Penguins is now using Walrus, and it's all on the SUI blockchain, which is nice. Am I buying Walrus myself? No, the market cap is already huge, so I don't see an enormous upside. Like, the risk to reward isn't absolutely unbelievable with this one. It's already, you know, 3 billion fully diluted and well over 500 million market cap. So, you know, I think a better risk to reward is probably just SUI itself at that point. But that's one to keep your eye on. The other one is, the other big ecosystem play is DeepBook. So this is just like an AMM on SUI. You can kind of, it'll be kind of like Meteora or on Solana, or any sort of AMM on Solana. DeepBook provides a lot of liquidity, and yeah, I kind of like this one. It's also very high market cap, so I did put a tiny bit into this, but you know, I wouldn't expect 100x or something. But another ecosystem play. Now let's move on to the farming. I'm just gonna rattle through a couple of them and then tell you exactly what I've done, because that's what probably you're interested. The first one you can do is called IKA. So this is like a cross-chain platform. So I'll link this in the description, but there's a number of tasks you can do if you want this IKA airdrop, and people are very bullish on this one for whatever reason. They think it's a really good project, so it's probably worth doing some of these airdrop tasks if you want. And the best way to get exposure to this is to buy one of their NFTs on Tradeport. I think they're 77 SUI at the moment, roughly, and what's that, like a couple of $300 or something like that. So one of these droplets, stake one of these droplets, and you're going to get a little airdrop from IKA. So you can look into that project and see if you're bullish on it yourself. I didn't look into it too much, but yeah, there's one to keep your eye on. Walrus, which we've already talked about, they've already done their airdrop, but they're going to do a season 2 airdrop. In order to get that, you can buy Walrus, stake it, and you're going to earn the rewards. You mint WWAL, and that will qualify you for the season 2 airdrop. I don't know if that's going to be good. I didn't bother doing that, but that's another thing you could do if you're bullish on Walrus. Now, the main thing that I'm doing myself is I'm farming suilend. They've already done an airdrop, but they're doing a season 2 airdrop, and basically this is the Aave on SUI. As you can see from the chart here, it's dumped massively from when it launched, and now it kind of looks like it's bottomed out and is back in an uptrend. So you could either, if you don't want to farm it, you could buy the token. Not financial advice, but it is very much a much lower market cap, probably for good reason, but I actually think it's a perfectly good DeFi platform. So basically what I've done here, so you can go onto suilend. What I've done, you can see the rates on suilend are actually amazing. The borrow APY on a lot of these coins, including staked SUI, is 0%. So unfortunately that's full at the moment, but you can keep your eye out and you can get staked SUI. You can just borrow that for free. So why would you do that? So say you lent, what I've kind of done, I've lent USDC. I'm making 5% on that, plus the points for the airdrop. So 5% isn't amazing, but I'm getting the points as well. And then to reduce my risk, I can borrow against that stake SUI for 0%. What I've done as well, as you can see, I've deposited USDC, and then I've borrowed SUI ETH, which has a negative borrow rate. So basically, I'm getting paid to borrow Ethereum. So you deposit your USDC, you get paid to lend it, and then you get paid 5% to lend it, and then you borrow SUI ETH, which is this Ethereum on SUI, and with all the bonuses and rewards that you get, you're actually getting paid to, the rewards you're getting in stake SUI, you're actually getting paid to borrow Ethereum. So what did I do with that Ethereum? I actually sold it straight away because I'm not super bullish on Ethereum. I sold it for Deepbook. As you can see on Deepbook, you get 40% for lending deep. So I'm basically getting points 3 different ways, and I'm getting 5% APY plus 1% APY on the Ethereum, and then 40% deep, all just from USDC. So pretty nice little rewards that I'm doing there. Maybe it's going to go down if a few people copy me, but yeah, there's different rewards. You can look through suilend and find some nice ones and get some points for doing that. Suilend is actually making a lot of money in fees as well, so potentially a good ecosystem play to look into. Another one, I'm not sure if you can farm this one, is Bucket Protocol, that you can get 12% on USDC there. Another one that I'm not so much farming, but I'm using, but doesn't have a token yet, so that's something you have to really think about. This isn't like a season 2 airdrop, this is a season 1 airdrop for a protocol that is probably going to give a nice airdrop, and that's Aftermath. So Aftermath is just a DEX aggregator. It's kind of like, it's the Jupiter of SUI, and they haven't done their airdrop yet. And yeah, it's really nice. You can do a good few things on Aftermath, so it doesn't just have like a swap. It also has, just like Jupiter on Solana, it has swap, it has dollar cost average, it has limit orders, it even has bridging, and you can stake your SUI. So if I were you, and you can put pools, you can do pools and farms, etc., all on Aftermath. So if I wanted to farm this, I would try and use pretty much everything on this and do a few transactions a day or even a week, like depending on your time and how much effort you want to put into farming this. But yeah, probably one to look into. The last ecosystem play you could look at farming is called GiveRep. So this is essentially just a Kaito clone. It's kind of, if you farmed Kaito, or if you remember what Kaito was, that was a pretty decent airdrop for anyone who had a little bit of engagement on Twitter. So if you have a nice Twitter following, you can start talking about different protocols on Twitter and get points for this GiveRep project. To conclude, yes, I'm bullish on SUI. Do I think it's going to be the most amazing play of the cycle? Probably not. So I just have a small bag of it and I'm farming on it, looking out for some meme opportunities. And because it's already quite a high market cap, it's already like, you know, the fully diluted valuation is like half the FTV of Solana, and it hasn't really proved that market cap yet. Like, I think it really has to get massive partnership and has to really be able to prove that people are going to use SUI in the same way that people use Solana. Like, it's very hard to get people to bridge from Solana to SUI when, you know, maybe it's a tiny bit better than Solana in some ways, but, you know, people are already used to using Solana. Like, it was much easier to get people to bridge from Ethereum to Solana because Solana was 100x better than Ethereum at the time. So fast, and it was so cheap in comparisons to Ethereum. But SUI doesn't really have that advantage over Solana, so it needs to get some massive partnerships. Maybe a big game launching on SUI like Pokemon. That could be a huge unlock. That would be a really good one to watch out for if that comes to fruition. So I am enjoying using the ecosystem, trying things out on SUI, farming a bit of the airdrops and making it a small position in my portfolio. So really hope you enjoyed the video, hope you learned something, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.